Hey, what's up everyone and welcome to Daily Code Buffer. In this video of JS Buffer, we are going to see all the different functions and methods available for an array in JavaScript. So we are going to see all the different methods like map, reduce, filter, isArray and lot more. So we are going to see the 20 to 25 different methods available in the JavaScript for an array manipulation. So stick around till the end. So I'm curating this video with all the different functions in one particular video, as I've got the request from a lot of you guys to create one video out of it. So I'm just creating one video including all the topics available. So with that said, let's get started. So let's see how to use a forEach method instead of a for loop in JavaScript. So let me just create a variable over here. I'll just say constant numbers equals to 1 2 3 4 5 6, and to loop through these numbers the method is numbers.forEach. Okay, and here you can see that this forEach function will take three arguments, one that is the value, the other that is the index, and the third which is the array, and this will be a callback function over here. So let's see that. Let's create the callback function for this. So this will be the forEach function over here. Let's create the callback function. Let's create the callback function, and this callback function should take three arguments, that is the value, index and array. Okay, value, index and array. And now let's print this value over here, console.log value. And now let's call this callback function in our forEach. Now if we run this, yeah, you can see that we are getting the values over here. So whatever the values that we have passed over here, whatever the values we have defined in our array, we are getting this value out of this first variable. Now if you want the index, then we will get the index value as well. Let's run this again, and here you can see that we are getting the index of the particular array. And if I see what is in the array over here, then you will see that we will get the entire array over here. So this will be the entire array. So these are the three parameters that are available for our callback function that we can call in our forEach function. Now what we can do is we can call this particular function as a arrow function as well. So let's try that. So let me just get the entire function over here and let's add in the arrow function over here. So here instead of this, I'll just create as an arrow function over here. Let me remove this. Rather than declaring the function, I have just called as an arrow function over here. This should also return me the same values. Let me just change the value over here and let me run this example again. Yeah, you can see that we are getting the values. Now only value, the first one is mandatory, the others are optional over here. Okay, so if I just want to remove this, I can just go ahead and remove this and it should work over here. Let me run this again, and here you can see that we are getting the data. So the first parameter is value, the second is the index, and the third one is the array itself. Now let's do one more thing over here. Let's multiply these values over here. Okay, so let me just create the variable over here. Let multiply equals to 1, and I will loop through these numbers over here. Numbers.forEach value equals to, what I'll do is just do multiply with the value over here, and let's print this console.log. We'll print the value. Sorry, I'll print the multiply. So this is a simple code over here that we have used the forEach function to loop through the numbers and do the multiplication of the each values available inside this array, and we are printing that value. So let me clear this console and let's run it again, and here you can see that we are getting the value over here. So this way we can use the array's higher order function, that is forEach, for looping through the array rather than using the for loop. So that's it in this video for forEach of arrays in Java. So let's create one array over here. We'll just say constant numbers equals to 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so this is a array of numbers available, and here we will see how we can use the map function of array. So here we can start with numbers.map function over here. So this particular function takes 3 arguments, the value, the index and the array as a callback function over here. So let's define the callback function. And one thing to note over here is this map function will return the new array out of it. So let's first create the function over here. Function, we will just say that the function is square numbers, okay, which will take value, index and array as the input parameter, and it will return value into value as a square to get the square out of it, okay. And this particular square numbers we will use in our map function over here. Let's print this value, console.log, and we will say numbers over here. So here what we are doing is we are using the map function. This map function is taking the callback function, which is taking 3 parameters, the value, the index and the array itself, and we are returning value star values to get the square of a number. If I run this over here, you can see that we are not getting the data, we are getting the main array itself, that is a number, because this particular map function returns the array. So let me store that into one of the array, constant square num equals to numbers.map over here, and let me print this square num over here. And if I run this again, you can see that we are getting the square of a number available in this particular array. So this way we can use the map function to change a particular value to a new value itself. So what we did, we took a one value over here, that is 1, and then we return the value, we map the value to the square of that particular number. So when we got 1, we return 1, when we got 2, we return 4, we square that value and we return the value. So that means we are mapping a new value for a particular value that we are getting from the array itself. Rather than using this particular function, we can also use as a arrow function over here. Now let's take the another example where we will take the complex object. So let me just remove this over here and let's create the complex object. Constant employees equals to array of object we will take over here, okay. Here we will say employee name equals to Shabir. Let's say department, I'll say IT department, and let's say salary, I'll just define as, okay, 100k salary over here. So this is one object in my employees array. Let's create couple of more objects over here. Let me just change the name over here. I'll say Nikhil. Suppose his salary is 130,000. And let's say Shivam over here, and his salary is around 126,000. So these are the 3 employee objects available where they are having employee name, department and the salary information. Now I need to use the map function for this particular array. So what I can do over here is I can say constant salary equals to, I want to just take the salary for this particular employees over here. So what I can tell here is employees dot map function where value equals to value dot salary. So what I'm doing is I'm just returning the salary information from the entire object that we have. Here you can see that this is the one. Now let me just print this information, console.log. I'll just print the salary array. If I run this again, yeah, you can see that we are just getting the salaries over here. If I print the whole object over here, console.log, yeah, you can see that this is the entire object over here, okay. And we use the map function to map the particular input to a different output itself. So instead of object as an input, we got the number as an output. So entire object array is converted into the array of a number. So this is how we can use the map function. So suppose if you want to add a particular data as well, if you want to add more data, then what we can do is, let me just remove this console over here and this one as well. Now suppose rather than just taking the salary, I want to add the monthly salary as well for all these employees. So what I'll do, I'll just say constant, it's a new employee object, okay, equals to employees dot map over here, and I'll take the value object and use the arrow function And here I will define, okay, my employee name should be the same employee name, where I'll get the employee name from val.employee name. The same for department, value.department. And for the salary, I don't want salary, I want monthly salary. So I'll just say monthly salary equals to val.salary divided by 12. So I will get the monthly salary over here. Let me just do the rounding over here. So this is the new object that I am creating over here. That whatever the data I am getting over here, whatever the object I am getting, I am taking the employee name, department, and instead of salary, I am just converting to monthly salary over here. So let me just print this over here. New employee. Let's clear this console and let's run this again. Yeah, you can see that you are getting the data over here, that employee name, department, and then you are getting the monthly salary rather than getting the salary over here. So this way you can convert the objects as well. So suppose if you are having multiple parameters, then you don't have to worry about adding all the parameters over here. You can directly use the spread operator. So what I'll just do, I'll just remove this over here and I'll just use the spread operator val. So what it will do, it will add all the parameters available, that is employee name, department, and salary, and then it will add a monthly salary to this particular object. So if I run this again, yeah, you can see that we are getting the employee name, department, salary, and monthly salary is added over here. So this way we can use the map function to convert any of the particular type or any of the particular objects to what we want. That means we are mapping to a new value, and at the end we will be getting the array out of it. So what is the slice method of an array? Slice method of an array returns the shallow copy of the array itself based on the starting index and the ending index that we are providing. So let's see with the one example. We will just create one number array over here. 1 2 3 4 5. Let me add this 6 as well. So this is the array over here, and let me use the slice function over here on number.slice. And here you can see that this slice function takes two arguments, that is the starting index and the ending index, and both of them are optional. So if you don't pass the starting index and ending index, it will just return the shallow copy of the entire array itself. So let's just use this function, and here you can define the index over here. So if you define 0 over here, that means it will start with the 0th index and it will return the all the elements till the end of it. And if you define the ending index as well, then it will return the element till the element that you have defined, excluding that particular element. So let's see that. I will just use console.log over here, and let me print the number over here, and this particular array we will store in number 2, and let me print this as well. Okay, let's run this. And here you can see that we are getting the entire array over here, that is the first one. And for the second one, you can see that it's starting from the index 0 and it will go to the index 2. It won't include the index 3. So we are getting 1, 2 and 3 over here. And if we don't define the ending index over here, if we start with suppose index 2, then it will start with index 2, that is 0, 1 and 2, that is 3, and it will get the entire array over here. So let's run that. Yeah, you can see that it is starting with the index 2 and we are getting the entire data over here. Now we can also give the negative values over here, that is the offset value with the negative sign over here. What this will do is it will return the data from the ending position. So that means if I am giving -2 over here, it will return the last 2 elements over here. So let's run this and let's see. Here you can see that we are getting the last 2 elements over here. So this way also we can get the data over here. And if you don't define anything over here, it will just get the entire array back. Now this particular slice function will work on any of the array types. Either it would be number, string, or a complex object as well. Let's just take one of the example of a string array. So here you can see that I have added the particular fruits array that says banana, apple, orange, lemon and mango. Now to get the values of a citrus fruits over here, we can use the slice function over here to get the value of orange and lemon because those are citrus fruits. So let's just use constant citrus equals to fruits dot slice. I will just say 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this will return the citrus fruits over here. Let me print this. Let me run this. You can see that we are getting orange and lemon. So this way you can use the slice function over here. Let's first create an array over here. Let's just say constant numbers equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, this is the numbers array over here. And the method is numbers, that means arrays dot splice. So what this method does, splice method is used to remove the elements from an array from a given specific index. So you will be providing the start index from where we want to remove the arrays, and we can also specify how many elements that we want to remove. So there are the arguments over here. You can see that start argument and how many delete we want to do. We can also use this to add the elements to it. So let's see that. And one thing to note over here is this splice function will change the original array itself. So suppose if I do the slice function over here and I'm passing the index 2, that means from the index 2 it will remove the elements from the array. So if I do console log over here and if I do numbers, let's run this, and here you can see that we are getting just 1 and 2 over here. So everything from the index 2 is been deleted over here, and this deleted list we can get as a return value. So if I do constant removed data equals to numbers dot splice, and if I print this over here, removed, then let's run this again, and here you can see that these are the elements that have been removed from the numbers array, and this is the numbers array existing. So this way the splice function will work for the array. Now the other parameter is how many elements that we want to remove. So suppose if I am defining that we want to remove 2 elements, so that means from the index 2 elements will be removed over here. So let's run this again, and here you can see that earlier it removed every elements, but after defining that we only want to remove 2 elements, it has just removed 2 elements and the rest of the array we got. So 1, 2, then 3 and 4 are removed from the second position, second index that we have provided, and the rest of the elements are there. And if you want to add the extra element also, then also we can do using this way. So first element is the index from which we want to delete, then how many characters or how many elements that we want to delete, and after that we can define what elements that we want to add. So suppose after that I want to add 20, 21 over here, and if I run this again, here you can see that I just removed 2 elements from the second position, that is 3 and 4, and at that particular position I have added 20 and 21. So this way we can remove the elements and we can add the elements also using the splice function. It is not recommended to use the splice function to add the data, but if you want you can do it. Now suppose if you want to add the data without removing the elements at this particular index, then what we can do is we can just pass 0 over here. So that means at the second position it won't remove any elements, but it will add this particular elements over here. So if you run this again, here you can see that nothing is removed over here. So we are getting empty array over here, and at the second position 20 and 21 is been added over here, and the rest of the elements are placed after that. So this way we can use the splice function of an array in JavaScript. So concat method is used to concat the 2 arrays given in the JavaScript. So if we create multiple arrays over here, let's create 3 arrays and let's see how to concat those arrays over here. So let me just create constant of _1 equals to 1, 2, 3. Let me create other 2 arrays as well, 4, 5, 6, and let's create the third array as 7, 8, 9, and this is constant _3. So these are the 3 arrays that we have created over here. Now let's create another variable, constant of _4 equals to, what we can do, _1 dot concat _2 over here. So what will happen over here is 2 will be concat 2 underscore 1, and this concat method will return the new array. It will return the shallow copy of the array. So there won't be any changes to the underscore 1 array itself. So if we do console log over here, underscore 4, and let's run this. Yeah, you can see that we are getting the array that is 1 2 3 4 5 6. So we are getting the final result after the concatenation of the two arrays over here. Now if we add the underscore 1 over here, you can see that there won't be any change to this particular array. You can see that this array is itself 1 2 3 only. There is no change in the underscore 1 array, so it will always return the shallow copy of the array. Now here we can add the multiple arrays as well. If we want to concat underscore 3 as well, then we can add multiple parameters this way. So underscore 2 and underscore 3 will concat to underscore 1 array. If we run this again, yeah, you can see that we are getting the array 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So this way we can concat the arrays. Now if you want to add the extra elements as well, after adding the two arrays, we can add multiple elements. Suppose 20 21 22 we want to add, we can add the data this way as well. So this particular things will also be added to the underscore 1 array, and it will return the new array itself. So let's run this again, and here you can see that we are getting the data over here. Now after this we can add the array as well. So if I do A B C, this way also is valid over here. So we can pass the array as well over here. So if you run this, we will get the same result over here. You can see that. So this is how the concat method will work to concat multiple arrays. So as the name suggests, sort function is used to sort the array. Now how the sort functions works in JavaScript. Now sort functions sorts the data, converting each element into string and then sequentially matching the each character or each sequence using the UTF-16 code unit values. So suppose if you are sorting the numbers as well, then those particular number array will be converted to string, and sequentially it will be matched with its UTF-16 code unit values. So let's see how we can sort the arrays and how to get the correct sorting values when we are using numbers. So let me get the string array over here. So considering this is a array having the string values, we are having the months March, Jan, Feb and December. So when we sort this array, the output we should be expecting is December, February, Jan and March. So let's do the sorting over here. We'll do months.sort and let's print this array over here. Console.log months over here. Let's run this. Yeah, you can see that we are getting the data December, February, Jan and March, which is the expected results, right? Because this data has been sorted based on the sequential manner in the ascending order. The default is ascending order. Now let's check the number arrays over here. So let me just delete this and let's take the number array. So I have taken the numbers array over here, which contains 1, 33, 4, 29 and 100,000 over here. Okay, so these are the values over here. Now if I do numbers.sort over here and I do console.log with the numbers, then the expected result would be 1, 100,000, 29, 33 and 4, because this entire numbers array has been converted to string and sequentially it is matched with the UTF-16 code unit values. So if I run this, yeah, you can see that we are getting the data this way, 1, 100,000, 29, 33 and 4. But this is not what we expect, right? Because when we are sorting the numbers array, we should be getting 1, 4, 29, 33 and then 100,000. So to make this work, we need to pass the compare method. How our comparison should work using the sort function. So let's create the function over here, function compare numbers, which will take two values a and b, and based on the a and b what we are getting, we should be passing the results. How this works is, so suppose if you are working with any of the compare methods, so you'll be taking two input values, value a or value 1 and value 2. If considering we are taking a and b over here, if a is less than b, if the value of a is less than the value of b with any of the criteria that you define in the if condition, if that's so, then you should be returning the negative value. And if a is greater than the b, then we should be returning the positive values. And if any of the values are equal, then we should be returning 0. So this is how the compare method should behave. So in this compare method that we have defined over here, compare numbers, we will be doing the same thing. What we'll be doing is we will be returning a minus b over here. So this is how the method is. So let me just clear this over here and let's use this compare numbers method in our sort. Okay, so we are just passing the compare method over here in the sorting function. Now if we run this was the earlier result, right? Now let's run this again, and here you can see that we are getting the data correctly. The sorting is correct. We are getting what was expected. So this way we have to define the compare methods, how our comparison should work. Now rather than using this, we can also pass the arrow functions over here. Now let's take the other example where we will be working on the array of object. So let me just clear this out, and this is the array of object over here where variable items equals to there are having multiple objects over here. Now what we have to do is we have to sort this array based on the values over here. So what we can do over here is we can do items dot sort, and we will use the arrow functions over here. I'll take a and b, and here we will define the compare method based on the values that we have. So what we'll do, a dot value minus b dot value over here. So based on this comparison, the entire array will be sorted based on the values in the ascending order. So let's print this array, console.log items over here. So this is the simple thing that we have done over here, passing the compare method, that how our entire object array has to be compared. So if I run this again, here you can see that my entire array has been sorted based on the value. So it is sorted in the ascending order. So the negative value first, minus 12, 13, 21, 37, 37 and 45. So this way the values are compared. Now if you want to sort this array based on the name that we have, then we can also do the same thing over here. What we will do, we will just say items dot sort. We'll take the two values over here, a comma b, and we'll just say if a dot name greater than b dot name, then return 1. If a dot name is less than b dot name, return minus 1. And if these two conditions are not there, that means the values are equal. So we will just return 0. So this is the function which is just comparing the values based on this name. So the entire array will be sorted based on the name in the ascending order. So we are just comparing the values which I showed you earlier, that if a is greater than b, then we should be returning positive number, and if a is less than b, we should be returning the negative number, and if the values are same, we will be returning 0. So let's print this again, console.log items over here. Now let's run this. Let me clear the console and let's run it again. So here we have done sorting twice. First one is based on the value and the second one is based on the name. So value, if you see, it's sorted based on value with ascending order with minus 12, 13, 21 and all. And after that we have done sorting based on name. So if you can see that it started with and, Edward, Magnetic, Sharpie, the and 0. So this entire list you can see that it's in the alphabetical order. So this way we can do the sorting with the compare method in the JavaScript. So the fill function is used to fill the array with the value provided. So suppose if we consider I have an array of numbers with 1 to 7 values, and to fill this particular array with any of the number or any of the value that we specify, we can use the fill function over here. So suppose if I want to fill this particular entire array with one value, so what I can do, numbers.fill, and I can provide fill this entire array with 1 over here. Let me console.log over here. One thing to note over here is this will change the existing array which is numbers over here. Okay, it won't return a new array. So if we run this, here you can see that this entire array has been changed to the array of 1 because we use the fill function over here. Now suppose if you want to fill the function from any of the starting index. So suppose if I want to start this fill from the second index, that means this third value over here, then we can define this index over here. It should start with the index 2. So if you run this again, it will fill this particular from the second index over here. You can see that 1, 2 are same, and then from the second index, it change all these particular values to 1. And also we can specify the end index till which particular index we need to fill. So suppose I want to fill till 5th index, then we can pass 5th index over here, which will change from 2 to 5 excluding 5. So 2 to 4 index, it will change the value with this fill function. So let's run this again and see. Yeah, you can see that it changed 3 values, that is 2, 3 and 4 index over here. So this way we can use the fill function to fill the particular arrays. So includes method is used to search a particular element inside an array. So let's take an array over here that is a fruits array where there are elements like banana, orange, apple and mango. So let's try to search if banana is present in a fruit or not. So this particular includes method will return the true or false based on the element is found inside an array or not. So let me just create the variable over here, result equals to fruits dot includes, and here we will be passing the banana, and let's print this console. Let's run this, and here you can see that we are getting true over here. So that means banana is present inside this array. If we try to find anything else, suppose we are trying to find lemon over here, then we should be getting false over here. Okay, so that means lemon is not present inside my fruits array over here. Now there is also one more thing available, like if I again change it to banana, and there is also one more parameter that defines from which particular index we need to start searching. So if we don't define anything, it will search the entire array. But if we define that start searching from the index 2 over here, that means this particular includes will start searching this banana from the index 2. So suppose if banana is available inside this array also, it will start the search from the second element and we will get the output as false over here. So you can see that though banana is there, but we are searching from the second element, we are getting the false over here. So this way we can use the includes function to find a particular element inside an array based on index or without the index itself. So join method is used to convert an existing array into a string. So whatever the elements are there inside an array, those elements will be joined together using the comma separator and we will get the result as a string output. So let's see that. Here you can see that we have taken the elements array over here where we have added the 5 elements over here. Now let's use the console method, console.log to print it. What we'll be doing over here is we'll just use elements.join method over here, and here you can see that it says adds all the elements of an array into a string separated by a specified separator. So if no separator is specified in this join method, we will get a string using the comma separator. So default is the comma separator. So let's use that and let's run this. So we will just use node join.js, and here you can see that we are getting the data, fire, air, water, earth and space using the comma separated value, that is a string. Now if we want, we can also add the separator over here. So suppose I'm adding comma space separator over here. Let me add couple of more. Let me add dash separator over here. Let me add the pipe separator, and let's add one more separator. We will just separate using an empty string over here. So now let's run this, and here you can see that we are getting the different data. So all these separators are there, right? The default separator is comma separated. We added with comma space separator. We added the hyphen separator, the pipe symbol separator, and if we go with the empty string over here, entire string will be concatenated without any space over here. So this way we can use the join method to join those particular elements into a single string. Now one thing to note over here is this particular separator will be separated between the two elements. So suppose if there are only one element over here, suppose I'm just removing all the elements over here, and if only one element is present over here, then we will just get that particular element. You can see that for every join we are just getting the element over here, and if there is no data, if the array is empty over here, then we will be getting the empty string over here. So you can see that there are 5 strings, but those are empty over here. So this way we can use join methods to convert an existing array into a string using a specified separator. So reverse function is used to reverse an array. So let's take an example of an array, constant numbers equals to 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. And to reverse the array, what we have to do is we have to just call the reverse function on the numbers array. So let me just print the console over here, console.log numbers dot reverse. So here you can see that the definition of the reverse says reverse the element in an array in place. This method mutates the array and returns a reference to the same array. So we have to make sure that this particular reverse function is a destructive function, so it will change the existing array itself. So we are calling the reverse function over here, and now let's run this. We will just call the node reverse.js over here, and here you can see that we are getting the array in the reverse order, that is 7 6 5 4 3 2 1. Now let's create the array like object over here, and we will call the reverse function on that particular thing. Okay, so let me just clear this over here, and here you can see that I have created the array like object over here. So constant array I have declared, and you can see that I have defined the elements over here. 0th index element is 1, at the first index element is 2, second index element is 3, and the length of the array is 3. So this is the array like object over here. Now we can call the reverse function on this type of object as well using the array class. So what we will be doing is we will just use array dot prototype dot reverse dot call, and we need to call upon the variable, that is array over here, arr. So this particular reverse function will be called upon this array like object, and when we print this over here, console.log array, let's print it before the reverse as well. And now if we run this, we will get to know how this particular thing behaves. And here you can see that we are getting the result, that is this is the first log where we have data 0th element 1, first element 2, second element 3rd, and now the data is reversed. So 0th index, that is 3, first index, that is 2, the same value, and the last one is the first one. So the entire array is reversed using this reverse function on an array like object. So push method is used to add the elements at the end of the array. So let's just create the array over here. We'll just say constant numbers equals to 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, this is the array that we have created. Now to add the data, we can use the numbers dot push function over here, and here you can see that it says it appends new elements to the end of an array and returns the new length of the array. So whatever data we add, it will be added at the end of the array, and it will return the length of the array, how many elements are there in the array. So let's use this push method to add 6 over here. So 6 will be added at the end of the array, that is 1 2 3 4 5 6. And now if we console.log numbers over here, let's run this, and here you can see that we are getting the 6 records over here. If we want to add multiple records, we can add this way, and here you can see that we are having the multiple records over here. If we want to add the multiple records over here, multiple elements in an array, then we can pass the values comma separated, 6 7 8 9 10, this way. So all these values will be added, will be pushed to this numbers array. If we run this again, here you can see that we are getting the data over here. So this way the data will be pushed to the arrays, and at the end this numbers dot push will return the length of the array. So if we store this length over here, constant length equals to numbers dot push, and if we print this console.log, let's run this again, and here you can see that we'll be getting the length, that the length of the array is 10. So this way we can use the push method to add the elements into an array. Pop method is used to remove the last element of an array, and it will return that particular element. So let's take one example over here. So we are taking the constant plants over here, and these are the different plants that we have added into the array, and let's use the pop method over here. So if we just use plants.pop over here, and you can see that it says removes the last element from an array and returns it. If the array is empty, undefined is returned, and the array is not modified. So if there is no data in the array, it will return undefined and the array is not modified. Else the array will be modified and the last element will be removed. So this is the method pop. So what it will do is it will remove the last element, which is tomato. If we console.log over here, console.log plants over here, we should be getting the plants without tomato, and constant, let's see, popped element And let's print this as well. Console.log popped element. So what we are doing is we are just popping the element from the array and we are getting that element and printing that element, and we are also printing the array. So let's run this. And here you can see that the popped element is tomato. So tomato is removed from the array, and here you can see that the new array is without tomato. So this way we can use the pop method to remove the elements. If we do multiple times, then multiple elements will be removed. So if I do again plants.pop over here, so here the tomato will be removed and here kale will be removed, and we will be printing that. So let's run this again, and here you can see that for the first one tomato was removed and then kale was removed. Here we took in the popped element and we printed over here. So this way we can use the pop function to remove the element from the end of the array. These pop and push functions are used to get the behavior of a stack using the arrays. So let's take an example over here. Here we are taking the myfish array over here and we have added few of the fishes over here. Now shift function will remove the first element of an array and it will return its particular value. And if the array is empty, it will return the undefined over here. So let's see this function over here. We'll just use myfish dot shift over here, and here you can see that it says removes the first element from an array and returns it. If the array is empty, undefined is returned and the array is not modified. So we'll use this shift function and it should return the value, and let's take it in the value variable fish over here, and let's print these values over here. We'll just use console.log fish over here and console.log my fish over here. So this will return the first fish over here, that is angel, and my fish will return the entire array except the first value. So let's run this now, and here you can see that we are getting the correct values over here. This is the first fish which is shifted from the first position, that is the 0th position of the array, and this is the our remaining array itself. So this is how shift function will work in an JavaScript. So unshift function is used to add the elements at the starting index of an array, and it will return the length of an array as a return value. So let's see the example. We'll just create the array over here. Constant numbers equals to 1, 2, 3, and we will use the constant length equals to numbers dot unshift, and here you can see that unshift defines as inserts new element at the start of an array and returns the new length of an array. This unshift function, we will add the values over here as 20. So 20 should be added at the first position and then 1, 2, 3. So let's print all those values, console.log length and console.log numbers as well. Okay, and let's run this. And here you can see that the length of the array is 4 and the values are 20, 1, 2, 3. And if you want to add multiple values, then we can add multiple values like 20, 21, 22. This way also we can add multiple values and those values will be added accordingly. If you run this again, you can see that we are getting these values over here. If you want to add the values as an array as well, we can add those values this way. So this will be the added as an array over here. So if you run this again, here you can see that this is the one element as an array and the remaining one is other values in an array. So this way we can use unshift function to add the elements at the starting position of an array. So indexOf method is used to find the first occurrence of an element in an array. So let's take the array over here. So we are taking the fruits array over here where we have banana, orange, apple and mango. And here let's find the orange over here. What is the index of an orange? So what we can do over here is let's create the index over here. Let I equals to fruits dot indexOf function. Here it says that it returns the index of the first occurrence of a value in an array, or -1 if it is not present. So let's use this and let's pass the element over here. Let's say we have to get the orange value. What is the index of an orange? Let's print this out, console.log I over here. So we should be getting the 1 over here. So 1 is the index of an orange. So let's run this. and here you can see that we are getting 1. So 1 is the index of an orange. So it will always return the first occurrence, and if the value is not present, suppose I am giving orange 1 which is not present in the array, and we run it again, it should return -1. Here you can see that it will return -1. So there is one more thing over here, that is from where this particular index will start from to search for a particular element. So if we define over here that we should start from the second element, that means the search for the index will start from the second element and it will skip the first and second element 0 and 1. And if we run it again, we should be getting -1 as we are starting from the second index over here. So orange won't be available until this point of the values or this point of the elements. So that's how we can use the indexOf function of an array in JavaScript. So lastIndexOf function will return the last occurrence of an element in an array. So let's take one example over here. We are taking the fruits array over here and we have banana, orange, apple, banana and mango over here. And here we will use the lastIndexOf method. I will just give constant index equals to fruits dot lastIndexOf, and here lastIndexOf says that returns the index of the last occurrence of a specified value in an array, or -1 if it's not present. So we'll use this function and here we will pass the last occurrence of an orange, and let's print this value console.log I over here, and let's run this. And here you can see that the last occurrence of an orange inside a fruits array is in the first index over here. Now if we give banana over here, we have 2 bananas at the first, at the 0th index and at the 3rd index over here. So as per this, we should be receiving the 3rd index over here. You can see that we are receiving the 3rd index. So this way the lastIndexOf will return the last element of an array. So every function is used to check a particular test on each and every element of an array. So if each and every element of an array passes that particular test, then it will return the true value, else it will return the false value. So let's see one example. I will just create one array over here. Constant array equals to 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10. So this is the array that I have taken over here. And if you see the every method over here, so this every function will take a callback function as an input parameter, which will be taking 3 input variables, value, index and a array itself. So this will be a predicate function where we will be applying a particular formula to it or applying a particular function to it. So let's create a function that will check the values are even or not. So let me just create a function is even, which will take value, index and array as an input parameter, and we'll be just checking if that value modulo of 2 equal to 0, and we will return that value. So we are checking if that particular value is divisible by 2 and the modulus or the remainder is 0, then that particular is a even value, and we will use this function as a callback function in our every function. So I'll just use constant result equals to array.every, and inside this we need to pass the callback function, that is isEven, and let's print this as well, console.log result. Okay, so in this every function we are just passing the callback function, which is this particular function which is checking the value is even or not. So let's run this, and here you can see that we are getting false as we have 3 over here. If I change it to any other value, that is 12, then we should be getting true over here. That means our array is even. All the elements in an array is even. If there is any element which is not matching the particular logic that we have passed, then it will return a false value. We can achieve this using the arrow functions as well. So we can get the same thing using the arrow function just to check if all the values are odd or not. Constant odd equals to array.every. We'll take the value with the arrow function and we will return value modulo of 2 not equal to 0, and we will print this odd over here. Let's run this, and here you can see that we are getting false. So that means this particular array is even, right? All the elements are even. So let me just change here 1, 3, 5. And let's print this, and here you can see that we are getting true over here. So that means this particular every function is been executed on each of the elements and we are getting the result over here. So this way we can use the every function of an array in JavaScript. So unlike every function that we saw in the last video, some function will test a particular logic that we have provided, and if any of the element matches that particular logic, it will return true, else it will return the false value. So let's take the example that we saw in the last video. We'll take the constant array over here and we are giving the values over here 1 2 3 5 6, and constant result equals to array dot sum, and here you can see that it will determines whether the specified callback function returns true for any element of an array. So any of the element, if returns true, we will get the true value over here. So it will take the callback function over here. So let's create one function over here, and we can also use the arrow function as well. So let's create within one function is even. We'll take the value over here. It will take the three values, value, index and array. We are just using the value, so I'm just taking the value over here, and it will return value modulo of 2 equal to 0, and we will use this is even in our callback function. And let's print this value, console.log result over here, and let's run the application node sum.js, and here you can see that we are getting true because we have two elements that are even. Now if I remove this, let me just do it 3 over here, and let's do it 7 over here. So all the elements are odd now. So let's run this again, and we should be getting false. So if any of the element returns true, the entire result will be true. So this way the sum function of an array will work in JavaScript. We can use the same callback function as arrow function also over here, just like value arrow function, value modulo of 2 equal to 0. And if you run this, it will give the same result over here. So this is all about sum function of an array in JavaScript. So find function is used to find a element inside an array. If that particular element is found in the array, it will return that particular value, else it will return the undefined. So let's take one example over here. We'll just take the array over here. We'll take some values 5, 10, 12, 8, 23, okay, and we will be using the find function. Constant found equals to array.find over here, and here you can see that this find will take the callback function over here, and it returns the value of the first element in the array where predicate is true and undefined otherwise. So we'll give the callback function over here, value, we'll give the arrow function, and suppose if you are giving that value, first value which is greater than 10. So this is the particular callback function that we are providing over here. So if any value that we found which is greater than 10, first value, we will be getting it. Let's print the console.log found over here, and let's print this. And here you can see that we are getting 12. So 12 is the first value which is greater than 10. And if I give 20 over here, we should be receiving 23. And if we pass any value which is not available in the array, we should be getting undefined over here. So this way find function will work in JavaScript. Now if you want to find the index of a particular element, then you can use the findIndex function of an array to get the particular index of it. So findIndex function is just similar to find function, where we can get the element from the array. This findIndex will find the index at which that particular element is available. So let's take one example over here. We are taking one array over here which have few numbers over here, and let's take one constant found variable equals to array dot findIndex. And here you can see that findIndex says that it returns the index of the first element in the array where predicate is true and -1 otherwise. So whatever the function that we are going to pass over here, according to it, it will find the first element and it will return that index. So let's add one function over here. We'll use the arrow function, and that value should be greater than 10. So this is just a simple function that we have created in the findIndex where it is checking the first value which is greater than 10. Okay, and let's print this console.log found over here. And if you run this over here, yeah, you can see that we are getting the 2 index. So at the second position, that is 0, 1 and 2, 12. 12 is the first value which is greater than 12. So we are getting the index of it. If we give the other value like first value greater than 20, it will give accordingly, that is 4, that is 23. And if we give 30, which is no value available inside this particular array, we should be getting -1. So this way we can use the findIndex method to get the index of the first occurrence element in an array. So from function is a static function of an array which is used to create an array from the array-like object. So if I see the example over here, you can see that it says creates an array from the array-like object. So suppose if we take one example, constant array equals to array.from, and in this particular function we can pass the array-like object. So suppose if I'm passing the string, which is just a collection of characters. So if I say ABCD over here, so that means this particular from function will convert this ABCD string into an array which is containing a single individual characters. So let's print this console.log array over here. Okay, and let's print this. And here you can see that we are getting the array of characters over here. Similarly, if we have the string with numbers, suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over here, and if we want to convert this particular to array of numbers, then you can see that we are getting the array of characters here over here. But this from function also have one more parameter that will take the entire map function. So what it will do is it will allow us to do a mapping for those particular elements. So let's add one mapping over here. What we will do, we want to convert this particular elements individual into a number. So we'll do value, it is the input parameter, we will using the array function, and we want that to be number. So if you see this, we just use the mapping function over here, which is taking value as input parameter and it is converting that particular value to number. So let's run this again, and here you can see that we are getting the array of a numbers now. So generally this method is used when you have to convert a particular string or particular array or particular other type of functions like set or map to an array. At that time this particular array.from function is being used. So suppose let's take one more example. I'll just take constant numbers equals to, I'll just add few of the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 5, 5, 6. Okay, so these are the numbers available in an array, and you can see that these numbers contain duplicate values as well. So what I want is I want an array that contains only unique characters or unique numbers, okay, inside that particular array. So what generally we do is we use the for loop and we just remove the duplicate numbers, or instead what we can use is we can create the set out of this and we can convert that set to particular array. So let's do that way. Let me just do console.log, and if I just do new set over here, and I'll just pass the numbers array over here. So what it will do, it will just convert this entire array to set, and set only contains the unique characters. So only unique values will be available here. So let me just remove this and let me clear the console as well. And let's run this again. And here you can see that this entire array has been converted to set and we are having only unique values over here. But I want the array, not the set. So I can use the array dot from function to convert this set into array. And here you can see that we will be getting the array with the unique values available from this array which contains duplicate values. So this is just a one scenario where we can use array.from function. There are a lot more scenarios where you can use array.from function. So this particular isArray function determines that if a particular value passed inside a particular function is array or not. So let's take one example. I'll just directly print the value. I'll just take array dot isArray function and I'll pass the array inside it. This is the array of numbers over here. And let's print this. And here you can see that we are getting the true. That means whatever the value that we have passed over here, that is an array. If we just pass the blank as well, that means also that is an array, blank array. If we pass this way, that means this is an object, so it will return the false. So here I have taken the example from the Mozilla developer website, and here you can see different examples over here for isArray. You can see that this all will return true in case of using the isArray function. That blank array with one element with a new array object creation and all these things. Okay, this all will return the true values, and all this value which we are using over here with the blank value which we are not passing any value as a set or an object, null, undefined, any number, all this will return the false value. So these are the different examples that I have shown you which will return true and false according to the value that you are passing to a particular method, that is isArray. So filter function is used to filter out the elements of an array with the conditional logic. So whatever we define in the callback function of a filter function, according to that, a filtration will be happen on those elements and we will get the elements out of that array. So here you can see that I have taken one array over here which has few of the words over here. Okay, spray, limit, elite, destruction, present and exuberant. Now let's see the filter function over here. What I can do is I'll just do constant result equals to words dot filter over here, and here you can see that it returns the element of an array that meets the condition specified in a callback function. So this callback function we can pass over here. We will use the arrow function over here, and here what we'll do, we will filter out the words whose length is greater than 6 characters. So let me do over here value. Okay, we are taking the value over here and value dot length is greater than 6. So we are only taking the elements whose length of characters is greater than 6. Rest will be filtered out. So let's print this over here, console.log result over here. So this is the particular function. So let's run this node filter.js, and here you can see that we are getting these three values: exuberant, destruction and present. So these three words have greater than 6 characters. So this way we can use the filter function to filter out the elements which are not needed in the array. Accordingly, we can implement our functions. Flat function of an array is used to flatten up the array that we have provided. So suppose if there is an array inside an array. So suppose this is the array inside the array 1, 2, 3. Again array inside the array 4, 5, 6. Okay, and if this type of scenario is there and if we use the flat function over here, then we will get the data like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this particular array is flattened up into the main array. So this way a flat function will work. So let's take one example over here. So this is the example that we have taken where we have array inside an array over here. Let's do console.log and we will use array.flat function over here, and let's print this. So what will happen here is this particular array will be flattened out. So let's print this, and here you can see that we are getting the result. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 is inside the array itself because it only flatten up one array. And if you want to flatten up this array as well, then you want to pass the variable over here. So how many level of depth that we want to flatten up. So this is the first level of depth, this is the second level of depth. So if I pass 2 over here, then it will flatten up till both the depths. Okay, so this way this flat function will take up the argument of the depth of the arrays that we want to flatten up. And if you want to flatten up till infinity, then we can pass infinity over here. And how many arrays are there over here? Like 6, 7, 8. If you see that there are a lot of levels of depth within this array, and we have passed the infinity over here. So if we run this again, we can see that everything will be flattened out over here. So this way we can use the flat function to flatten up the array within the JavaScript. So what is reduce function? So reduce function will call upon the array for each and every element, and it will return the single final accumulated value. So suppose if we take one example to understand more on that, suppose you have an array of numbers and you want to sum it up all those elements inside an array, then what you will do, you will just traverse through each and every element and you will do sum and at the end you will be having one value. So that's what reduce function will do for us. It will use a reducer function which will take the input of the array and it will do the operation and it will accumulate the values, and at the end we will get the single value out of it. So let's take one example. We will just take one constant array equals to 1 2 3 4 5 and let's use the reducer function. So I'll just say constant result equals to array dot reduce, and here you can see that this reduce function will take a callback function as an element in the array, and the return value of the callback function is the accumulated result, and it provides as an argument in the next call to the callback function. So suppose whatever result comes for the first element, it will be as the input parameter for the next iteration. So here what we'll do, we will take the values over here. You can see that this particular callback function will take previous values and the current value. Somewhere it will be called as an accumulator value as well. Let's take previous value and the current value, and what I want is I want sum. So I'll just do whatever previous value it is plus current value I want. Okay, let's do console.log and print the result over here. Just do node. Here you can see that we are getting the result over here, that is 15. So if you sum it up everything, we will get the 15 over here. Let's see how reduce function will work. If you go to this particular developer.mozilla.org website over here, you can see that here it is taken one example similar to what we took 0 1 2 3 4 5, and we are calling the reduce function over here. That reduce function is taking accumulator, that is the previous value, the current index and the array itself, and it is returning accumulator plus current value, whatever we did over here, right? Previous value, current value, and we are returning previous value plus current value to return the sum of the array. So if you see this particular iteration over here it shows the what will be the accumulator value, current index, array, and the return value. So for the first call, the first value would be the accumulator value, current value will be the first, and the current index is 1, and this is the array, and the return value would be the operation of it. So operation is accumulator plus current value, so that is 1. So for the second call, next iteration, this return value will become your accumulator value, the current value will be the second index value, and the operation will again happen, that is accumulator plus current value, that is 3, and 3 will be again the accumulator for the next call. So this will happen till the last element, and whatever the last value would be, that will be your final result. So that's how the reduce function will actually work. Let's take one more example over here. Okay, let me take one more example. I have defined one findMax function over here that is taking accumulator value and the current value, and I'm just getting the max of it. Okay, whatever the maximum value it is available. So let's find the maximum value from an array of objects. So here I have taken one result set over here which is having few of the objects where the value of x is 2, value of x is 22, and value of x is 42. Now to directly use the reduce function over here may not give the correct values always. Okay, so suppose if I want to use this particular findMax function over here, then the current value will be this particular object, that will be this will be the accumulator value, and this will be your current value. So if you are passing this object value over here, we will be getting not a number over here, right, from this particular function. So here how we can use a reduce function. So generally the reduce function will be used with the help of map function. So both of this particular function will go hand in hand. So what I can do over here is I will convert this particular array of objects into the array of numbers over here with the map function, and then I will call the reduce function on top of it. So what I can do, I'll call the map function over here. This map function is taking the element over here and it is converting the element to the particular value of x, that is e.x. Then I am calling the reduce function over here, and with this reduce function I am calling this findMax over here. So what is happening is this is the array of object and I am converting with the help of map to the array of numbers over here, and then I am calling the reduce function to find the maximum value. Now if I print this console.log result over here, you can see that I'm getting 42. So 42 is the maximum number out of this object array. So this way we can use all these different functions of an array this way with the chaining of the methods, and we can get the desired output. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for the upcoming videos. I will see you in the next video. Till then, happy coding. Bye bye.